Okay, so we're going to take a look at part 2 here, Malachi 3, starting at verse 19 to the end of the chapter. Wait a minute. Open up your King James Bible. There ain't no Malachi 3 to the end of the chapter there. There's 4 chapters in Malachi. Well, not in the Stones Tanakh, there isn't. So I'm reading Stones Tanakh, and it says it's Malachi 3. So go figure, is the King James the word rightly divided, or is it not? That's a whole other discussion we've mentioned. Starting at verse 19. Ki hana. Ki, kaf yod, is like the open hand, that's the letter kaf, and the fact that it's mine is the yod, kaf prefix, yod suffix, the 2-letter word ki. I swear, this is mine. I'm telling you, ki is translated for, thus, because, wherefore, when, while, although. I mean, it's this transition word, but here it starts off at the first word of the verse. I'm just saying, so I choose to read Kaf Yod as if Yahweh's saying, I'm telling you, this is the way it is. You hold up your hand and it's like, look, I'm not hiding any funny business. I'm telling you clearly, this is my declaration. Okay. Behold, hear gladly, Hayom Bo, the day arrives. Bet Aleph there is the word for arrive. Bet Ayin Resh. Bar. Well, that's where we get the word boorish, B-O-O-R in English, and it means illiterate. Dumb, stupid, ignorant. In Flemish, it's a farmer. Not dumb, stupid, and ignorant. Farmers got to be pretty smart. They know a lot of things, just not necessarily book learning. But in Hebrew, this word bet ayin resh does mean foolish, stupid, ignorant, or boorish. But see, I'm not accusing agriculturalists. You could be a farmer as a scientist and brilliant thoughts about how everything works. There's nobody putting down that. People in the language put it down. But this word also means burn, consume, set something on fire, remove, and destroy. So I can put these words together in my own thinking of analyzing this phrase and say, Yahuwah is saying, behold, the day is coming. Behold, not just behold, but gladly, oh, finally, great. Stupid, foolish ignorance is going to be eradicated, burned as in a furious, blazing oven. Okay. And then it says, Kaf Tav Nun Vav Resh. Katanor. Well, Nun Vav Resh, that's like menorah. Mem Nun Vav Resh Hey is menorah. So Vav Resh is light. So you look up this word, Tav Nun Vav Resh, and it means stove, furnace, oven, but Nun Vav Resh is illuminating fire. Nun Vav Resh Aleph would be like in the military, them shooting off a flare to lighten up the whole battlefield. Put a flare on a highway so somebody could see if there's an accident or something. So Katanor is, well, wait a minute, this is a blazing furnace, but it's kind of like this shirt, just so it may seem like darkness right now, like kind of shrouded and things are, we don't know what's going to happen. People are saying scary things. Bam! Something's going to happen that Yahweh says. Vav, hey, yod, vav. Hey, that's a, hey, vav, hey, yod, vav. That's the fourth, so it means to exist. Kol zadim. Kaf lamed, where we get the word all. Kol, that department store, Kohl's, K-O-H-L. That's the same Hebrew word. It means all, every, each, any. It's got everything in there. Kohl's. Zion, the 7th letter, Zion Dalet, and then Yod Mem. Well, Yod Mem is the suffix, meaning plural. Look up in the dictionary, Zion Dalet means presumptuous, insolent, wanton, malicious, arrogant, a breacher, somebody who just breaks, like all those guys that are breaking into the stores and just arrogantly, insolently, maliciously just stealing and breaking and, heck with you. They don't care about the law. They don't care about personal possession. They don't care if they get caught. There's 50 or 70 of them. They're not going to get caught. We have become, at least in this nation, at least in LA, and a civilization, an uncivilized, boorish civilization. And this says we're going down, burned up like a furnace. And all Asha doing resh shin ayin. Hey, that's that word, evil, wicked, mean and nasty, causing harm and injury. Kuf shin. Well, that's the word straw. It doesn't say burn up like straw, but the word kuf shin also means cruel and stubborn, like stiff straw. It's the word for the stiff-necked resistance, argue against, unintelligible, and to make difficulties. So you could read this, I think is the way it's translated. It's going to burn in an oven like straw, but it doesn't say like straw. It says he's going to burn up the people who are making difficulties, arguing against his teachings in righteousness. Vav Lamed Yod Hei. You look up that word, and it means magic, juggler, trickster, enchantment, a flame, exciting, glittering blade, mysteries and sorceries. You know, there's stuff on the internet these days. Many years ago, I heard about these guys, and I happened to see one, and before I ever looked at the internet for anything, and there's guys that do magic. They'll do something and pull something out of here and there, and it's like, I don't care if it's sleight of hand, they can't do it. It's in my mind, it's got to be demonic. It's got to be some kind of interdimensional bad mojo. Sorceries, trickster, those guys. You think that's fascinating? You think, wow, how do they do that? That's so talented. What? I don't know what the heck is going on. I don't know if there's invisible demonic agents messing with stuff. I read a book of a guy written in the 1950s up in Toronto, and he was saying it absolutely is that, but hey, we don't know. They may not exist. They're not my concern, but this is the word that says those guys doing that stuff, they're going down. Aleph Tav Mem. So Tav Mem suffix means Tom. Well, that's pure and clean and perfect. Aleph Tav, there's no hyphen, but it's generally Aleph Tav Hey is translated Y-O-U, you. Aleph Tav Mem is translated them. Lamed Mem could be them. There's other ways to write them, but I'm just saying, okay, who's he putting in? The insolent, wanton, malicious, arrogant, breacher, those who make difficulties, argue against, cruel, stiff, magic, trickster, juggler, and enchanting with mysteries and sorceries, all on the day that arrives, Amer Yahweh Savot, declares, when he makes a declaration, it's done. It's not just written in stone, it's the fabric of the universe is designed to accommodate this, the emperor's decree. That, then it says lo, which is the negative, then Yod Ayin Zayin Bet. Well, the word Ayin Zayin Bet, Ezev, means forsake or abandon or to be left behind. Like, we forsook his Torah. We left it behind. We cast it aside. We don't need this. We can't carry this. It's of no use to us. So that word Ezev literally means to either, I forgot, what was that? Oh, wait, what was that? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Whatever it was nailed to the cross. Whatever it is impertinent to us. It's not ours. It's somebody else's from a long time ago, like finding an old artifact. That's what the word means. But it also means help, assist, fortify, and repair. So to say, I could read this that he's not going to help. He's not going to assist. He's not going to fortify them. So therefore, like Ayin Yod Bet with Esau, and like there ain't no shalom for the wicked, you guys are on your own. Whatever you guys come up with, you want to steal from each other and kill each other and lie to each other. And okay, and he lets that run out. But he also said, nothing left behind of them, Lamed Hey Mem. And then it says, Sheresh Ve Anaf. Well, Shin Reshin, Sheresh literally means root. And Anaf, Ayin Nun Pei, means branch. So one way to read this, he says, when you guys get taken out, when you guys get burned up, there won't even be a twig left. Not one little speck of a root. You guys are going to be rooted out and gone, done. You guys that are doing these things are doomed to annihilation, declares Yahweh Zavot. So when we hear them rumbling, remember last week, Joe DeMond was on here and he was saying, hey, this abomination of desolation. Well, you mentioned September 21st, 22nd. What's going on? The fall equinox, the autumnal equinox is supposed to happen right about then. Another 10 days hence from now. Is what he was talking about have something to do with that? I don't know. I haven't looked up in it, and I tried to look on the internet, and it's like, blah, blah, there's all this talk about whatever. That's whatever. But this is absolute. Yahweh said, not one speck of a piece of root or branch of any of the people doing these things are going to be left behind. And he'll see to it that not one piece did he miss. Verse 20. Well, it starts with the letter Vav. And no, the letter Vav is a connector. It can mean but or however, or wait a minute, there's more. Zion Resh Het. Well, that's rise, shine, break forth, and appear. Lakem Uri. That's for them who fear me. My Shem, Shemi. Everybody who does, go through the list, presumptuous, insolent, wanton, malicious, arrogant, breaching rules of civility, you might say, or the Torah, to make difficulty, doing evil, cruel, stubborn, arguing, unintelligible, magic, juggler, trickster, enchantment, sorceries, and mysteries of fascinating, glittery. They're all going to be destroyed, burned up in an oven, burned up in a raging fire of like a bam, like some kind of illuminating, incredible thing going off all of a sudden. But to those who fear Yahweh's name, that brilliant light is Zerach, Zion Resh Het. Hey, it'll be, Resh Het is the word for Ruach. The letter Zion is the seventh letter to swear a vow. So Yahweh's sworn vow for those people who ask for his Ruach of life is that same brilliant flash of illumination is what we're hopefully expecting, which is the impartation of life as it consumes the wicked. For you who fear my name, and then it says, Son of Righteousness, S-U-N, in Hebrew the word is Shin Mem Shin, translated sun. The sun in the sky is Son of Righteousness, Zadikah, and with healing in its wings. Healing in its wings. Does the sun have wings? Well, metaphorically, you see a picture of the Akkadian Sumer. Nibiru is the round planet with wings and the little deity figure flying. Is that the sun with healing in his wings? I'm suggesting there's a different way to read this. So the word in the dictionary, Shemesh, is not just sun. Yeah, it's sun, but it means a diligent servant like the sun. The sun has been appointed to jump up over the horizon in the morning and shoot across the sky and rest down on the other horizon and then scramble back to the other side and do it again the next day, and then run back at night and do it the next day. And it does it faithfully every day. So the picture, that's what the sun is doing, is of a diligent servant doing what they're supposed to do. Okay, so the other definition then of Shemesh means to be exploited or made use of. If you got a good servant, man, this guy, every time I give him a task to do, he does it, and he does it well, without bickering, without arguing, complaining, and he's not overcharging me. He's not ripping me off, man. I'm going to entrust this servant with more stuff in my interest. That's the word Shemesh. But it also means to make use of as a virile member. To make use of as a virile member. If you have a broken down tractor in the yard, you're not going to make use of it. If you have a vehicle that might abandon you on the freeway if you're driving 100 miles, you don't want to take that thing. It'll ditch you and leave you hanging when you're desperately needing it most. I've had that happen before with both tools and people, and it's like, oh man. But man, if you're going to take a journey, you get your vehicle tuned up, you put good gas in it, you got everything, and it's like you trust it. That's the word Shemesh. But you see, that word Shemesh is right after Yod Resh Aleph Yod. Resh Aleph is to put on exhibition. Resh Aleph Yod means mirror, and Yod means he will. For you all who are mirroring my exhibition of my name, well, if you don't know his name, there's no way to know that. For those of us here and now, at this time, who are reading the Torah in his language, at his exhibition and say, oh, This is Yahweh Elohim, Zavot, the Elohim of Israel. He said, keep Sukkot. He said, sit down on Shabbat. Let's do what he said. My name. The word Shem is not just how do you pronounce the 4 letters, but it's fame, renown, reputation, the occupation of all his concerns. What's he about? He's about the Shabbat. He's about his people being illustrating illustriously his grandeur as the tafarda, his blazing, glorious headdress. That's what he wants us to be. That we exalt his name by our being, and it's not just by our behavior, by our heart of trusting his character, knowing who he is, what he said, doing it without squabbling and bickering and then find a loophole out of it, as a Shemesh, rejoicing in being his people. And he said, Zadikah. Well, Zadikah is not just righteousness, but it's victory, deliverance, and salvation, and justice. You see, he said, if we will not just fear, Yod Resh Aleph fear, but Resh Aleph Yod is understand the exhibition. What exhibition? His words, the letters. You understand his words because the letters are pictures on exhibition, which means something. So we read his words. We understand what he said. We see what he said. We read, we get it, and we do it joyfully, enthusiastically. Thank you for letting me do this for you. Thank you for trusting me as your Shemesh, your virile servant, exuberant over his grandeur, as it says in Isaiah 13, because by doing so is the venue by which Zadikah, righteousness, well, what's the righteousness? The victory and salvation is realized, which is the righteousness from his side. His side says, when you do what I said to do, I have to do what I said. Righteousness is doing what he said. When he says, I'm going to take out the wicked and strengthen and give you a place, then righteousness to him is doing what he said. So righteousness for us is doing what he said. Once he makes a declaration, Vayomer Yahweh, everybody's got to do what he said. That's Zadikah. And then when it says in healing, Mem Resh Pei Aleph. Resh Pei Aleph is Rapha, which is healing. Mem is the tool or the one who at the time. But then when you see in the dictionary, it says, well, wait a minute. Mem Resh Pei Aleph is a non-diplomated healer or curer. Huh? That's right. Somebody practicing medicine that didn't get a doctor's license. Hey, well, man, that's unauthorized, non-diplomated. A diplomat is somebody authorized by the government to go visit other countries in the name of that country. Why wouldn't a Mem Resh Pei Aleph be one who is authorized? Why'd the dictionary say non-diplomated? Stuff to think about. The other interesting thing is Resh Pei Aleph means to heal and cure, but it also means to weaken. It's like if you have a shelf on the wall that's falling apart, it's weak, it's falling apart, and to heal it, to heal the shelf in the wall, call your handyman, your carpenter, and he'll come and put another bracket, find the stud, and it's just put in the drywall, and the drywall's rotten. Here, let's just screw this thing into the side of the wall, and that'll hold the shelf up. It's all the picture of Rapha. So it means loose and neglected. What's been loosed and neglected? His name. It goes, the structure of the sentence, it goes back. For all you who fear me in my name, which has been neglected. All this stuff about the Torah for all these years has been totally lost, forsaken, neglected, like a shelf that's supposed to hold thing up that was just falling off the wall. And then the word in wings, with healing in his wings, the word wing is kanaf, kaf, nun, pei. This has the Yod Hei suffix, so it's not plural, it's not wings. Bet if it's kaf, nun, pei, yod, that's my wing. Then there's a Hei suffix, so it means to express the appearance of my wing. It's not the healing in his wings. So if you say, well, bet means in, or in the condition, kaf, like, kaf, nun, well, kaf, nun, can is where we get the word. It means yes. It's fit and able. So that which was neglected is fit and able in the condition of, well, nun pei means to sift or examine closely. Nun vav pei is treetops or a panoramic view where you can look out and get the whole picture. If you're on the wing, you can rise up and fly and get the whole picture. Height or elevation. So he says, my name being made use of, his name is the virile member. He had given his people his name. And his people, well, 7,000 times his name was taken out of scripture. And the place of his name being the champion of Israel, because Israel defiled him and 2,730-year curse, that whole thing was done away with or blown away or forgotten, neglected, abandoned all these years. And so he's about to give this panoramic view of the way all this is going down with, what did he say to Moshe? Where'd the language come from? 2,730 years later brings us to 2010, and now we've got the World Economic Forum and the big boys, the bad guys, the tough guys with maliciously insolent making difficulties. And then there's the word Vav Yod, Zadi Aleph, Tav Mem. Well, Zadi Aleph is those that go out, so like a little sheep. And then the word Vav Pei Shin, Tav Mem. Tav Mem suffix meaning there, T-H-E-I-R. Pei Shin, like remember said, pishtas, like haughtiness, foolishness, stupidity. So they're going to, Zadi is this blossom, like the resurrection, like a flower blooming. Fireworks going off, wham! So suddenly, those who fear him and make use of his name to bring forth victory and justice and righteousness, which had been neglected, he's going to give this overview, and it's going to burst, bang, and they're going to jump about almost foolishly like a calf, Ayin Gimel Lamed, from its stall, Resh Bet Kuf. It had been tied up in a barn this whole time, getting fat and happy, not left out there in the fray. And all of a sudden, when this time comes, he's going to let it go. And if you ever seen it on the internet, or maybe you've been to a goat farm, little baby kid goats, and man, they just love being alive. And little calves, gosh, they're just full of bouncing of energy and all over the place. Those who fear the name Yahweh and would realize that we can suddenly make use of him are going to zerach, boom. Well, yeah, but that same big bang explosion is going to take out all those people robbing stores and lying and killing and malicious difficulties, arguing against him. Verse 21. Vav Ayin Samik Vav Tav Mem. Well, Ayin Samik is where you get the word to press, squeeze. It's to step on a grape and have it squish out from underneath your feet. The wicked, because exist, Yod Hei Yod Vav, Aleph Pei Resh. Well, Pei Resh is the word for fruit, but Aleph Pei Resh is dust. It's also ashes. Theata, people put cosmetics, dust on their face, and so it's the word for mask or cosmetic powder, but Pei Resh being fruit, so then Tav Het Tav mean under or where you stand, and then Kaf Pei Vav Tav. Well, Kaf Pei, that's like Kippur or Kippah, like your hat. It's a cuffed palm of your hand or the sole of your foot. But Kaf Pei Hey, this is Kaf Pei Vav Tav, which is the feminine suffix, so you'll put the feminine suffix Hey instead of Vav Tav, and you get the word subdue, force, compel, overturned, prison, inverted, bound or tied. A knot, a dumpling, a teaspoon, something that's just a mass. And then the word regali, come, your regali, your feet. But remember, regal is also tradition, habit, and custom. Beyom asher ani asa, Amer Yahweh Zavot. Declares Yahweh Zavot, another declaration, on the day that I am doing, that I am producing. What's going to happen? The where we stand. Where are we standing? On his name, on his words, on his promises. Because we are standing on that, the ones doing wickedness are going to be squished like grapes, like standing on dust. Their substance, like nothing. Ashes, burned to a crisp from the same illuminating of Yahuwah's presence, of his favor for his people. They got nothing. That was verse 21. Verse 22, again, this is Malachi 3. And remember, this is the last couple verses now of the Old Testament in the King James Bible. And Stone's Tanakh, it ends with Chronicles, but this is the last couple verses of the entire Old Testament. Verse 22 starts with an enlarged Zion, one of the jots and tittles, the big letters, the little letters, the upside down letters. Well, what's a Zion? Remember, Zion is the 7th letter, and it means a weapon, an axe, it means cut off. It's also to be adorned with weapons. It's to be crowned. It's to be made significant. But the word 7 is spelled Shin Bet Ayin, and it means to swear a vow. Or it also means to be cursed if you don't keep the vow you swore. So it's the terms. So if you want to become Yahweh's people, what did he say? Well, what if you're just Adam? What he said is, you better choose life or death. You must choose. And if you default, you didn't choose life. So does that mean you're automatically dead? Zion, choose life. Well, what's the vow? You choose life and you get to live. But you choose life and then you step into his kingdom. And the first thing you have to do right inside the fence is learn the Torah, learn the instructions, find out what's going on in here. So we talked a couple of weeks ago about, hey, what if you could read the 7 Moedim as if they were telling a story? Well, Pesach means to jump over, to cross over. It's a synonym with the word Hebrew, which is Hebrew. So if all of a sudden you're facing death or you're facing this wall that we don't know what's on the other side, the 8th letter is a chet, the number 8 in the Arabic numeral, you put on its side and it's the mathematical symbol of infinity. So it speaks of eternity. So if we think of our mortal existence composed of the first 7 letters, and that the main thing is for us to choose life or choose death, Zion, wham, there's the cutting off, there's the death. But the 8th letter is this fence representing eternity. All we know is like, we don't know what's over there. But here we're facing a weapon. We're facing a curtailment of our conscious existence or physicality. And he said we can choose life. And Yeshua said, whoever believes in me will never die. We can choose to believe that, though we don't comprehend it. But if we choose to jump over the moat surrounding the castle, as it were, the moat filled with alligators, as it were, the drawbridge, the Vav connector drop down so they can cross into this realm of Yahuwah's kingdom, the Chet, we're crossing over, we're jumping over. That's Pesach. We're becoming his people by just the decision to say, I choose life. The word matzah, the crackers you're supposed to eat for a week, literally mem zadi hey, mem zadi aleph means press and squeeze, but also means find out how to do something. Do what? Mem, the prefix letter is zadi vav, mem zadi vav. Zadi vav means my command. So right there, it doesn't even take much mental gymnastics. The word matzot means here's a week, find out how to do what I commanded. That's the Torah. That's Kaf and Lamed. Kaf, what's written? Here's my hand, and here's the instructions to push and to pull and to teach and to learn. Matzot. And then Shavuot, lining up with the laver, the Mem and Nun. Take it to heart like the seed planted within you. Yeshua said his word is the seed planted in the field, and it becomes us. Kippurim. The word kippur, kaf peresh, means covering or atonement. But he said in Isaiah 58, you think it's all about not eating something? Release the captives. How do you release the captives? Tell them my instructions. Tell them the bet. Bring them bet. They're lied to. They think if they rob these stores, they will have a better life. They're doomed. They're doomed. Tell them there ain't no rest for the wicked. Yom Teruah, right before Kippur. Make a shouting of rejoicing and warning. There ain't no rest for the wicked. There's a promise of life for Yahuwah's people. And then Sukkah. Sukkot is the plural of Sukkah, but Samit Kaf Tav means listening. Like interwoven branches, interwoven fingers with the one you're walking with, mouth to ear, interwoven communication of his words. Like Sally was saying, just surround yourself with his words. That's our covering. What did he say? His words are the leaves of our covering. And we now have his words available. My whole life, I didn't have his words available. Never even suggested that I look at it as words. And then Shemini Atzeret. Shemini is the word for 8. It's the word for oil, and it means assess and appraise and evaluate. What are we looking at? What do we got? Synonym with Eric and synonym with Memnun, Mene. Anyway, the point about that, if you look here in verse 22, Zakar, remember. Zakar, remember. The Zion, remember the vow. Remember what this is all about. Remember when you chose life. There's a vow. Everything Yahweh said we will hear and we will do. That's what our forefathers swore us up to on Mount Sinai. And if we don't hear and do, we get the curse. The Torah. What's the word Torah? This is Tort. Tav Vav Resh Tav, not Tav Resh Hey. But what's Tav Vav Resh? It's where we get the word tour or tire, that which goes around. Tour, go out sightseeing. It means spy, reconnaissance, curiosity, find out how. That's the Torah. That's matzah. Matzah, find out how to do the Torah. It all fits perfectly. When it's our turn in the queue. Hey, when I was a kid, I couldn't do much. My parents were running the show, but now it's ours. It's ours to do. It's our turn. We're up at bat. That's what the word Torah means. Tour of duty. Search out and explore. The word Torah means search out and explore. He's telling us, remember the Torah of Moshe, search out and explore. Search out and explore what? What's Moshe mean? You know, that guy, the long-haired, long-bearded guy who went up to the mountain. Wait a minute, the word Moshe, Mem Shin Hey, Mashah. Shin Hey is the word for a sheep. It means retarded, delayed, withheld, detained, omitted, distracted, forgotten, overlooked, absent-mindedly. Hey, that's the same word as forsaken, the stuff that we just tossed aside. I can't make use of this. And what did he say to do? I forget. Well, I was nailed to the cross anyway. And them Jews, them crazy Jews, they were just given the Torah because it was a punishment. You don't want that stuff. For whatever the reason, the Torah of Moshe was overlooked, omitted. He's saying, go back and look at it. Remember the vow. And the word Moshe also means drawn out, something on loan as a debt, as a burden. And it means to massage, to do whatever it takes to pull out the truth, like analyzing these words. To extract what's due as a minimum payment, whatever it is. Mem Hey means whatever. Mem Shin Hey, that's what the dictionary is saying. Whatever it is a minimum payment, that's the vow. Whatever Yahweh said we will hear and we will do. He said, keep Sukkot. Okay, let's keep Sukkot. That's what these first 3 words, Zakaro, Torat, Moshe, Obedi, my servant, that I commanded. Zoiti, Aleph Tav Vav, as the stipulations. Those stipulations, if it was OT, it would be my, but this is his, Aleph Tav, oath stipulations and Aleph-Beit letters. The oath stipulated by the 22 Aleph-Beit letters that Moshe had to do and had to tell the future generations to do. It was a must. It was a minimum payment due, and we've been duped and lied about its requirements. And he's saying, go back and check it out, investigate, which is what we're doing now, not 20 years ago, not a generation ago that I know of. Maybe some people were, but then he says, Ba Chareb. Bet, het resh bet. Well, het resh bet is the word for sword. Drought. Bet is in the condition. So the fact that it was overlooked is causing the sword and drought that we're now experiencing. Take a look at world history and take a look at what's happening right now, sword and drought. Al kol Israel, upon all of Israel, het kuf yod mem, het kuf, chok is law, decree, and to imitate. We were commanded to imitate all Israel for all time, va mishfatim. Oh, that's the balanced scales of justice, mishpat. But see, mishpat also says, I told you to do something, and when you do it, then the balance scale is victory, deliverance, and salvation. And if you don't do it, the only way to balance the scales is to bring you the curse of the sword and drought, and your enemy overpressing you. That's mishpat. Translate it, right rulings or justice, and it's like you missed the point. The point is, Yahuwah's throne is founded on Zadikah and righteousness. Zadikah, which is righteousness, is mishpat, which is balanced scales. And he says, do righteousness. What's righteousness? John 3 talks about that. Doing what the Torah says is righteousness by definition. You do what he said, that's righteousness. And so when you do righteousness, you get victory. You get deliverance. If you don't do what he said, that's evil. Besides all the harm and problems and distresses you cause people, that which is evil. But then you get the curse, which is death. And your enemies get the victory. Pretty simple stuff. Verse 23, behold, Hana Anki, I am Shin Lamed Het, Shalak, which means to send, dispatch. It's the word from launching a missile. Some missiles are going to be launched. Transmit, to stretch out. This is Shalak, Shin Lamed Het. If you put a noon at the end, you'll have the word Shulchan, which is a table, a money changer's table. It also says Shalak means ripe olive. What does that mean? Shulchan, Shin Lamed Het Nun. Well, Het Nun is the word for grace. Why did Yeshua get mad at the money changers in the temple? What were they doing? Were they changing the real nature of grace to some other kind of foo-foo grace? Just lots, I'm not sure. But this word shalak, I picture shellac. When you're painting shellac on a table, you're pushing it here and pushing it there and all across the tabletop. Varnish, shellac, polyurethane. Just have to remember. Extend, to send a swarm of hornets, to stretch out or let go free, just boom, it goes out there. So Yahuwah says, behold, here gladly, I am, whoa, this is verse 23. There's only one more verse in the chapter, 23 and 24. So here it is, the verse before the last verse of the Old Testament, and he says, behold, gladly I am sending forth what? What? Remember, it's on the heels of 22. He says, remember the Torah of Moshe. Remember the vow. Seek out what I commanded as an oath, requiring your diligent observation of doing it. Shema and Shomer. Hear it, believe it, and do it, and guard it, and keep it. And if you do, you get life, you get the blessing, and I take out your enemies. Remember, that's the way it works. That's the overview. That's the panoramic view. Remember, like his wings spreading out. I'm telling you the panoramic view. I am going to send unto you Aleph Tav, a standalone Aleph Tav that nobody knows what to do with. What's the Aleph Tav? Well, as we've been studying, as Yahweh Echad, it's everything he said within the context of a construct communication, the 22 letters. And then it says this word right here, ALef Lamed Yod Hei. And what does this mean? My stuff that I communicated of my Torah clearly revealed. So verse 23, behold here gladly Anki, and the word anak, it can also mean a plumb line drop down. So from the heavens to the earth, dropping down this straight plumb line, calibrating the true reality of his instructions, Aleph Tav. And then it says, hey, nun bet yod aleph. Well, bet yod aleph, as we were looking at, bet aleph means to arrive. Nun bet, Aleph means call, pronounce, proclaim. Nun bet, the word we were looking at last week, nun vav bet, nun yod bet, nob, nib, means fruition or producing. And then lamed pei nun yod, the next word, lifnei, regarding my face. So this is producing, the talk of Aleph Tav is producing the regard of his face. Pei nun means classification, sort, or kind, like pan, but it also, remember, means abandoned, vacated. The regard of my face, the regard of my countenance, the regard of my disposition toward you. Remember the Aaronic benediction, may he turn his face upon you. His face upon his people, us, has been abandoned, has been neglected, has been turned away all these years. And this is the arrival, the reintroducing of his face. And then Bet Vav Aleph, arriving Yom Yahweh HaGadol VeHaNorah. So this phrase, the great and the terrible, Gadol, like Migdal is tower, great, celebrated, festooned, majestic. Ta-da! HaGadol, and Norah, awesome, dreadful, radiant, illuminating fire. Noon, Vav, Resh Aleph Hey, on exhibition. It's like these two words are used actually a number of times throughout Scripture. It's just translated great and dreadful, or great and awesome, or terrible. And but it's like this day. When is that day? Is that coming up 10 days from now at the equinox? Is that what Joe Dumond was talking about when he says, hey, see the abomination that causes desolation there in Israel, in Jerusalem? I don't know, but I don't know what he's talking about, but that's what I'm talking about. Behold, hine, anki shalak lekam. I'm going to send to you. I'm going to dispatch to you. I'm going to allow my the messengers of Michael and Gabriel, or the Zavot, the angel armies, to go forth and give you guys Aleph Tav Elhi HaNavia Lifnei Bo Yom Yahweh HaGadol VeNorah. Wow. No, wait a minute. Somebody did a song, these are the days of Elijah. This word is translated Elijah. Is it Elijah? I'm telling you, if you think that's Elijah, then you're going to wait. Remember, the Jews, bless their souls, when they have Pesach, because of this verse, they'll set an extra plate at the table, because there might be a knock at the door, in which case, this is Elijah coming in to sit down and have Pesach with them. Not a bad idea. It could be any visitor, but they're expecting Elijah because of this verse. And remember, Yeshua said, hey, believe it or not, if you can handle this, I'm telling you, John the Baptist is this guy. Okay. So it's already happened. New Testament, the Jews are expecting. I'm trying to give you a different context. What is Eliah? Is it this study of his words that we're listening to his voice? Verse 24, the last verse, it says, Vav Hei Shin Yod Bet. Return. And the return, Lab Abot, the heart of the fathers, Al Benim, to the children, Velab Benim Al Abot, and the heart of the children of the fathers. What the heck does that mean? But the last phrase, Pei Nun, lest perhaps or otherwise, it's like, this is your last chance. What's our last chance? Right, if we go back to verse 23, he's saying, I'm going to send you Aleph Tav. I'm going to let arrive the announcing, the proclaiming of my face in favor to you. Aleph Tav. My stuff, my Torah, expressed, understandable. Forget your doctrine, forget your religion, forget your culture, forget your tradition, forget your history. My stuff, present tense, right here, right now. Or else, Peinun, I'm going to come, and the word is Hey Kaf Yod Tav Yod. Kaf Yod. Like me, I'm going to smack the bejeebers out of y'all of you, out of the entire earth, and it's all going down in Chet Resh Mem, the last word, which means where we get the word harem or harm or curse or burned, kindled, hot, vexed, angry, exterminated, destroyed. It's the word for fishermen, or to cast a net and just gather everything. It's similar to the attitude of destroying the world in a flood. Only this time he said it'll be in fire. So the question is, is this stuff supposed to happen now? Or is this going to happen after the 1,000 years of a millennial reign? Is this before the tribulation, after the tribulation? It's like, is there a tribulation? It's like, wait a second. I mean, why doesn't he tell us? Gedol and Norah. Enlargement, Gedol, increase, magnification are made to be great. Well, we're making his Aleph Tav to be great, are we not? We're considering his name to be great, that was taken out 7,000 times and commanded to never be mentioned. My wife saw on the internet the other day, somebody had Yod Hei Vav Hei in modern flame letters written on the back of their truck window, and somebody else posted, "I'm sick of these guys. They're making his name common." It's like, really? You're sick of that, his name being common? He said his name should be enlarged, increased, magnified, and made great. Gedol and Norah, fearful, terrible, enraged, outrageous, illuminating fire. The word near, nun yod resh, see, this is nun vav resh aleph. Nun yod resh means candle lamp, light, splendor, prosperity, to till the land for the first time, fallow ground, to come in it like it's never been done before. It's like, woohoo! Yahoo, yeah! Teruah, his name. Make use of it as a virile member that has never been regarded. That's what's going to change everything. Okay, let me look at one other thing. We still have some time here. A friend of mine was saying, boy, Ezekiel 16, oh man, what a chapter. If you look at verse 6, Yahweh is describing his attitude about Israel. And he likens Israel to a little baby girl. Whoever the parents were, they thought the girl was ugly or deformed, or they didn't want it, and so they didn't wash it, they didn't bathe it or clean it, or they didn't cut the umbilical cord. They just took this living baby and they threw it out in the woods to be eaten by wild animals. And Yahweh says, I saw you, I found you in your blood, and in your blood you will live. It's like, what does that mean? And then he says, so I picked you up and I cleaned you up and blah, blah, blah. That's chapter 16. But this verse 6, it's like, what's the phrase, in your blood you will live? Bet dalet mem yod kaf, and then chet yod yod. Well, chet yod is life. And if it's yod suffix is my, because it doesn't say your life. So again, it's like, gosh, if I think the yod suffix means my, and this is chet yod yod, it's my life. So is my life referring to Yahuwah, or is my life referring to the subject, which means the girl, the Israel metaphor, which means in my life, why didn't you just say live? And again, the structure of the language is breaking down and kicking around all these little individual letters. But the first word, bet dalet mem yod kaf. Well, dalet mem is the word blood. Dalet mem yod then would be my blood. So my blood is talking about the person, and the u suffix, the kaf suffix means your. Bet, so in blood. Well, wait a minute, but bet dalet is the word. Remember, it wasn't good that Adam was bad. It wasn't tov that Adam was bet dalet, which means separate, segregated, alone, like no other. So to take a branch and cut it off the tree and turn it into a closet pole and hang your clothes on it, you're making that closet pole bet dalet, which that branch of that tree can't stay in the forest with all the other branches of all the other trees. You've now taken it in and domesticated, and it's your refined, polished little piece of wood that you hang your nice things on. That's bet dalet. So bet dalet alone separated, but dalet mem yod is not just blood, it means similar. So to be made in his image and likeness, his similarity is dalet mem yod. But mem yod means who? So I could read this as to say, who is like you, Israel? There's nobody else. Is that why the little baby was not washed or cleaned or thrown out in the woods for the wild animals to eat? Nobody wants this thing. Ooh, yeah, get rid of it. We don't want it in our house. Ever feel alone? Ever feel like you're unattended, unappreciated, misunderstood by your friends and family? And yeah, like that. My life, Yahweh said to Israel, there's nobody else like you, Israel, nobody else. And then if you look at verse 8, Vav ALef Ayin Bet Resh. Well, that's the word Hebrew, which means to cross over. He says, I passed by and I saw you. It's not just pass by. Hebrew also means to impregnate. What? I passed by and I impregnated you? It's the word Hebrew. What's that mean? Taken across. It also means pardoned and overlooked. He looked past the condition and saw the future of that one. Ayin Lamed Yod Hei, raise up, advance, success, prosper, superior, rejoicing, aliz. And I saw on exhibition, and behold, your time, the time of Godim, Dalet Dalet Yod Mem, which would be love play, beloved, your time of love. And he says, Aleph Pei Resh Shin. Well, that's where you get the word parashah. And then it says, Kanafim. Oh, that's Kanafi. That's my wing. Again, the same phrase as before. I put my wing over you. But the word parash means make distinct, declare, explain, clarify, separate, distinguish, set apart, interpreted, spread out as wings. Like when launching a boat and setting out to sea, it's like, I'm going to give you this overview of who I am and what this is all about. Why does their universe exist? Why is there planet Earth? Why is there atoms, humanity walking the face of the earth? Why is there good and evil? Why is there a decision of choose life and death? What's going on the other side of that veil, that wall? Absolutely dedicated to the exact proportion, the formula. It's also horseman, knight. Laid out all the cards on the table. Interesting thing that the dictionary says Pereshin also means the viper secreted its venom. Yahweh took Israel and said, I see that you now have the time that your heart can appreciate what I'm going to present to you. And he laid it all out, promoting and elevating Aleka, and then Aleph Kaf Samek Hey, to receive as a guest, hospitality, covering, also means conceal, hid garment. I'm going to receive you as my own. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to give you chesed refuge. I'm going to give you myself. I'm going to give you my entire kingdom to be my kadoshi, my set apart one. You who were set apart, I'm going to make you set apart. Like Joseph, remember? He was set apart and beaten and tried to be killed. And so the blessing that both Moshe and Yaakov gave him was because you're just set apart, distinctive, and for bad, I'm going to set you apart for good. This is a mirror of that. And then it says Aleph or Ayin Resh Vav Tav, your nakedness, but also the word Ayin Resh Vav Tav means liveliness, diligence, wakefulness. Ayin Resh Hei is attached and rooted. Mem Ayin Resh Hei is cave. Mem Ayin Resh Yod Kaf means valued, assessed, appraised, rained bread on the table. And I swear to you, Vav Aleph Shin Bet Ayin Lacha Aleph-Beit Vav Aleph, I will enter Barit in Brit with you. And then he stamps it, Nam Adonai Yahweh, Vav Tav Hey Yod Yod. And you became, Lamed Yod, mine. Verse 14, near the end of this chapter, it says, Vav Yod Zadi Aleph, published to you fame, Lachem Shem Begoyim, around the nations, Ba'ifi Cha, your beauty, because Kaf Lamed Yod Lamed, the word Kaf Lamed Vav Tav is betrothal. Kaf Lamed Yod Lamed, a measure of inclusion, instrumental, functional, crown, complete, whole. Hey Vav Aleph it. So Yahweh gave to his people this inclusive betrothal. Then the word Bet Hey Dalet Resh Yod. My Hey Dalet Resh, adorn, honor. Publish a new edition, respected, magnificent, majestic, glorified, boasted in splendor, ornament, citrus fruit, excellency, scrupulous, and necklace to cry for an encore, Hadaron, Hadaron, that I placed upon you, promoting you, Nam Ya'adna Yahweh. But then the word for placed is Shin Mem Tav Yod, but Shin Mem Tav means excommunicated. I excommunicated you, separated Israel from every other people group. So the same word here used repeatedly is Israel, you are unlike any other. Who's like you, Israel? Moshe said that. We can't find a similar pattern to copy anywhere in history, any other people group. Well, them Anunnaki, boy, they came down to the Sumerians and them coneheads, and they made these deals, and the Biru's coming, and boy, the WEF and the Bilderbergs and the Illuminati, and oh man, them Chinese and Ruskies and Americans, they've got Brits and Romans. It's like, it's all borscht. They got nothing. They're doing wickedness. They're making difficulties. Nothing. This reality that Yahweh looked at Israel, saw its potential, laid himself out. The viper secreted its venom. The essence of our being is to realize and trust him for who he is, who we are, to just say, I choose life. I want to be your Israel. I want to be your sweet little Kadoshi, your coquette, your Hanani. That's everything. And so when you adorn your sukkah, it's just that expression. It's a beautiful thing, as Sally was explaining. This has been withheld from us for all these years, nearly 3,000 years. We have it, and like it says, is this the last chance? Is it now or never? What we do with this, who knows what's going to happen in 2 weeks? Who knows what's going to happen in 20 years? Who knows if we'll take another breath tomorrow? But today, right now, this season, some friends were keeping Yom Kippur yesterday, different calendar. The heart, and that just mentioned this last thing, that we'll talk about this maybe next week. That little emblem, the attitude, the heart by which you Shema determines your resh that you will be. How you Shema. Why is there that letter resh? There's a dot, the letter resh, and then 2 dots. It stands by itself. If you don't know what the letters mean, that sentence is meaningless. It's not a word. It's just the letter resh. But your resh capacity is determined by how you Shema, with what heart you hear. Anyway, back to you, Kurt. We're at the end.
Yeah, I want to apologize to everybody listening for the continued beeping. Normally, it's just somebody makes a comment, but it just kept doing that little bloop thing. I don't know, are people putting up messages directly to you?
Oh, I didn't see anything. I have to just ignore those things. I take them as heckling from the crowd, and it's like, pay no attention. Just keep on the roll.
Yeah, no, I don't understand why it happened throughout the video. It was very few people making comments, so. Yeah, I guess we'll end in prayer. So thank you, Father, for a chance to get together and discuss your Torah and the joy Sally shared earlier on keeping Sukkot, and then look forward to hearing more testimony of how awesome your festivals are. And thank you for giving Eric the words and the wisdom to share with us. In whose name I pray. Amen.
Amen.